Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sledgehammers in the Office podcast, where we celebrate the heavy hitters on the job site and in the office. Tonight, we have an episode with Alex von Reich, who is the owner of Control Analytics. He is our data and AI expert, keeping us updated on any new developments in the industry. I'm Thaddeus Claus. I own a general contracting company here in Arizona. We did $850,000 in projects last year. And then usually I would also introduce our friend Connor Tyke, who's doing all things real estate. But tonight he's dealing with some stuff on the professional side that we're not going to get into too much, but hopefully we'll have a story for you guys next month. And I really want to go to war with someone. So we will find out what happens next month. So stick around. Good cliffhanger. Anyways, Alex and I have, I would say, a full docket, but maybe 2/3 of the docket full tonight. But before we get into that, we need to recap more of the fun, lighthearted stuff from last month. So, Alex, what have you been up to?
Well, today we officially broke ground on our new build here in Wisconsin. So we got to hang out there. Yeah, it was super exciting. Got to. I was really impressed with the excavator. That guy was moving like crazy. He was moving dirt around like crazy. He still had crazy precision. There was another guy standing right next to him, and like that guy had a lot of trust in his coworker because that guy was really flinging that thing around. But it was awesome. I got to experience a Kohler associate sale for my first time. So we live really near Kohler, Wisconsin, and if any of you guys have or care about like bathroom fixtures, you've probably heard of Kohler before. They have a thing where anyone who works there can go to an associate sale. The associate sale is like all the stuff they use when they travel for like trade shows and stuff like that. And they have all these essentially open box items, and they give it away for like a third of the price, if not cheaper. And so we actually know someone at our church down here who works there. They invited me because they knew we were building a house. I ended up getting like probably $4,000 or $5,000 worth of stuff for $900. So it was, dude, it was awesome. There, like, we got this huge farmhouse sink that's like $1,400. I got it for $325. Like, it's beautiful, no scratches, like it's all in mint condition. They had some like $30,000 bathtubs, that like really fancy state-of-the-art bathtubs that you could get for like $3,000 or $4,000. Like, it was crazy, and people go like frothing at the mouth for this. And then any people who don't get it from the associate invite only, they open it to the public that next day, and apparently that's even crazier. But I got the kind of exclusive invite, so that was super fun. I actually ended up getting a kitchen faucet that my friend who invited me, he actually is an engineer, and he helped design that faucet. So it's like, yeah, I designed all this, and this. So I was like, that's really cool. Like, I feel like you got to sign something in there and saying like, like, I don't know. I felt like that's how often do you get to have something in your house that someone worked on. So I thought that
Yeah,
was pretty interesting.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. What about you, Thaddeus?
Started going to the lake this month. So we went 2 weeks ago and then went yesterday as well. And I was a little nervous that the water was going to be too cold, but was just trying to like scope out a spot for the summer when we take larger groups. And right now water's perfect. Like, you feel a little chilly as you're kind of getting up to your knees or whatever, but the minute you just jump right in, it's like, yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
there's a spot yesterday we were jumping off of some rocks. They were probably like 8 to 10 feet tall. So it's just having fun, stuff like that. And then we ended up getting sick this month. There's some virus that was going around, so it took the whole family down. So we missed Mother's Day, missed our anniversary, so redid those. But so that was good. And then one of the funny things that happened was on Memorial Day, I had to go work in the morning, and then just to check in with drywallers. And then after that, we were going to take our son up to one of the parks that has like the water splash pads because it was a little warmer. And as we're driving there, he falls asleep. And my wife goes, "Do you just want to drive around for a bit?" And I was like, "Sure." And it's like, "Where do you want to go?" And we start talking. And it's like, "Do we want to go to Flagstaff?" And we just like, since we had just been kind of driving north, was like, it's 90 minutes away. So we just decided, like, screw it, we're going to Flagstaff. So we spent the afternoon in Flagstaff. Right now in Phoenix, it's in the 90s for a
Oh,
high, and in
perfect.
Flagstaff, it was like 50 degrees. So like we stopped at Walmart because we were getting ready to go to the splash pad, and my son was like dressed for going to the splash pad, so we had to get him a different outfit. But yeah, it was fun.
That's super fun. Yeah. Do you guys do anything else fun in Flagstaff when you were out there?
There was a brewery we went to, and they have like the wood fire pizza, so we did that, and then just walked around the shops, and then they got some sweets at like the candy shop they have over
Oh
there.
yeah.
That, and then there's downstairs in one of the shops they have a like large koi pond, and my son was just all about it. That
Oh
he
yeah.
was just watching the fish and everything. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds awesome. Sounds like a very fun, minus the sickness, but very fun last week
yeah,
or month.
yeah.
So,
The last thing we did was so it was Memorial Day. I was meeting with the drywallers in the morning. Then all that stuff happened, but was asking them, hey, like, are you guys staying busy? And they're like, we had this bigger job that got bumped on our schedule for this week. And I was like, so you guys pretty light this week? They're like, yeah, not really. Like, we don't really have anything. So you want to come over to my house? And they're like, what do you got? And I was like, well, I've got a popcorn ceiling in my living room and dining room that I want gone, and I've got these stupid, annoying lights in there that I want gone because they're 8 foot, like they're 8 foot commercial lights. You've seen them,
yeah.
so but 8 foot by 2 foot, it's just stupid. And one of them was broken, and we tried to fix it, and it wouldn't get fixed. So they're like, sure. So I scheduled them for Thursday, Friday in the week. So essentially that day I ordered light fixtures off of Amazon.
Mhm.
And for the living room, I got these 4 lights that they get embedded into the drywall. So they're square can lights, but they're different. That
Oh,
usually,
yeah.
yeah, a can light, usually you can pull the trim down and then like you can reach up, get
But
to the
it's like
wiring.
fully, yeah.
It's fully flat, but it's cool because you can still push the light fixture up, twist it, and it'll drop down. So we made a video on how we did it because we did some cool things with that. Because I've seen those lights before, but if you don't do them correctly, they'll start to crack the drywall a little bit. So we found a way with plywood to kind of get rid of that. But it was kind of like, all right, we got to get this done. And on Wednesday, I think I was working on that till like 7 p.m. And my son figured out how to climb a ladder and like climbed on top of a 6 foot ladder. So
Oh,
it was
nice.
a good time.
Yeah, I've
So
seen now there's a couple people that are doing like large LED strips of like the light fixture for a room, and they're like mudding it into. It looks sick. Like there's some really interesting lighting technologies that are coming out, and now that I'm building a house, I'm starting to pay attention to it a lot more. But it's cool.
yeah, I originally wanted to do that, but I already have different vents in my ceiling that I wouldn't be able to get the correct shape. And so I
Mm,
felt like these were a good alternative. So
yeah. Are you
um
happy with how they turned out?
oh yeah, it's pretty cool. So
Sweet. I want to see
and
pictures.
then and then for the dining room, we got these different can lights that they have a night light function. So
Oh
these ones
yeah.
they go down, but yeah, the rim of the can light, if you toggle the switch on and off real quick, off then back on, um, the rim of it will glow like an orange glow
We
to it.
we saw those. We did a parade of homes, and there was a remodeled house there, and they took this really old house and remodeled it. It was honestly my favorite house that I saw, but they had those can lights in it, and McKenna saw it, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I want those! Like 100%, those are so cool."
Yeah,
So we want to put something like that in our basement.
yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah,
So
sweet, cool.
cool.
Do they require any extra wires to be hooked up, or just standard?
It's all standard.
Oh, amazing,
Yeah,
cool.
because like and I'm not sure what the control is in there, but it's literally if the light is on, you just toggle it off, then toggle it back on, and it just switches. And then if you do the same thing again, it'll turn the main light on. So but it's the same thing. Like the ones that I have are the canless can lights. So
Mhm.
They're like the 1/2 inch thick. You just cut the hole in the drywall. You've got the part that gets wired in, throw it up in there, and then connect the light to it. And it's just got the clips that flare out.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So
sweet, man. Well, sounds like a pretty good month.
Yeah. So, all right. Before we get into the business stuff, the reason why we hope that everyone was here, we need to talk about our good friends over at Shamrock Farms, the people that provide the sweet nectar to us all. Right now, I'm doing a 48-hour fast, and it is killing me to have this right here with me, but not be able to just partake. So we all
Gollum
know
with his precious.
It is, but we all know what's going to happen, and I've got 36 hours left. It's going down. Shamrock Farms chocolate milk yeah.
That's gonna be the first thing in your system. It's not water. It's gonna be chocolate milk.
Yeah. As soon as that's all done, it's just bring me the Shamrock Farms.
Oh. All right.
All right. Going over business stuff, action steps that I was looking to get done from last month. We had a bunch of leads on the board and was looking to close some projects. We ended up getting 2 closed. So we're starting, I'll say 2.5 closed, because we're starting one on Tuesday. I'm starting my parents' house on Monday. They have a crack in their sewer line, so that's going on. But that's more of like I'm doing the work, and kind of it's my parents, so we're taking care of them. And then we've got one scheduled for end of June. So we've got 2 of those done. But going into this next month, we still have a decent amount of leads, and we've had a couple more come in. So right now my focus is kind of on like, let's get these turned into real projects. I've got the elevator project I think I told you guys about, and there's been more due diligence that we're trying to roll through with that. And so it's just like, I want to get that across the starting line. Like, let's get a start date on it. Let's get this thing rolling. So customer still wants to be there. They want to be moving forward. I want to get things moving forward. So everyone's all on the same page, which I'm really happy about. So one of the things that I was paying attention to is this year started out a little slower than I wanted to, just with projects, cash flow, all that stuff. But the ideas keep flowing on the marketing side. So I had this thing where I was like, I almost feel like it would be best of both worlds to start making a marketing plan that I should start a year from now. And part of the idea behind that was having the idea of, okay, do we want to start looking at doing social media stuff? Do we want to start looking at doing events for our previous customers, people in our sphere, stuff like that? But then it was, okay, as I've done some of these things before, we're trying to just, okay, what pictures do we have? What stuff is on hand? Things like that. And with this, it's more trying to say, how would we want it to work? What would we want it to look like? And with that, especially if it were to be advertising wise, if it's the social media, or if it were to be mailers or newsletter or something, that what kind of pictures would we need? What kind of details would we need? What kind of information would we need about the providers that do those things? If we were to do mailers, are we targeting a certain area? Stuff like that. So I think it'd be 2 things. One, it might be able to scratch an itch of trying to look at some of those things, but I don't necessarily have to pull the trigger on it. And it allows me to hope, my idea would be is that I'm able to do it better than I would, rather than just shooting from the hip. But then also, I'm not trying to, we spent a little money here, we spent a little money here, and kind of just dilute it all down. So that's one of the things that I might kind of entertain myself with, more than really like, this is something I need to work on. One of the things that ended up happening this month was I ended up meeting with a company. They have a showroom in Scottsdale. They do Italian cabinets. And I put a video on the YouTube channel about it. And I'm going to post about it on Instagram in the next week or so. They have these really cool cabinets. They come from Italy. They have a lead time on them, but they have some really cool details with how they do the porcelain countertop on there that creates a waterfall detail. So that goes on the edge of the cabinet, but also the porcelain is integrated into the face of the cabinets as well. They have lighting that most people are familiar with, under cabinet lighting, so or they might have seen floating shelves with lighting in it. Some of their cabinets have lighting built into the drawer. So you open that drawer up and the light turns on right there. So they've got some cool stuff like that. They've got closet systems that they're running on like a 24-volt current. So the way that the wiring is done for the lighting in there is different, and it just runs through the metal that is essentially attached to it. So those people were really cool, very hospitable with everything. It's a company called Feeble Casa. So love doing that. And then when I was there, I was looking at, there was another spot next door. It's Reese, Reece, Kitchen and Bath, and went over there and talked to them because they've got a bunch of the normal brands, Kohler, Delta. They also have like Brizo, but there's one called Phil Rich, and that I want to start using. It's more of a higher end brand, but they're completely made in America. So it's not just the assembled in America type thing. It's like it's designed, parts are from America, all that stuff. So that's cool. We're going to try and start putting that into some of our customers' houses. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is on some of our projects. Essentially, we've got one that they're doing 2 showers, and originally we were going to do 2 Delta fixtures. But since we want to start using and showcasing some of these more high-end fixtures, especially in our own projects, we are telling the customer, hey, as long as you're okay with it, we've agreed to a price. We're going to purchase the expensive fixture, and we want to put it in your house because for us, it's marketing. That we can put it on social media. We can talk about it in our YouTube channels, that we can tell our customers, oh, yes, we've done that before because we have done it before. So for the most part, it should be similar. It's a valve, it's a trim, but there's certain nuances to it. And so we'll have the experience with it. So it's for us trying to just meet new vendors. The other thing too was the kitchen and bath place told me that every once in a while, since they have their showroom in Scottsdale right next door to Feeble Casa, that people will just come in before they even talk to a general contractor. So I left them like our portfolio book. And then also for me, it's a way that I'm not waiting for someone who's going to want to be at the level of ordering their stuff, that I'm trying to take the initiative. And part of that is also then too, that, hey, like if you've got someone who comes in, you've got the portfolio books already, like if they need a general contractor, like let's do this. So trying to just grow that relationship that way. So the last thing, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm kind of curious because it seems like there's a few specialty things that you're getting really in on, like the post-tension slab. Has that paid any dividends since you've learned how to do the post-tension slab stuff?
Not that it's officially come around on. The thing that I will say is it's more when we're talking to other trades, it's when we're not just a general contractor. Essentially, it's we're a general contractor that does stuff on post tension. So instead of just being like, oh, okay, yeah, you're another guy, it's we're able to it kind of interrupts the pattern for a bit. So we haven't seen any jobs through it, but it's one of those things where it gives us that extra like, oh, that's interesting. So, or for the people who understand, they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. So
do you think it gives you more credibility with trades?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, cool.
Which a lot of times, like we're reusing the same subcontractors just because it's like we've got the team all squared away. But it's as we're talking to new people, that's one of our big, like we do specialty remodels, and that's one of them. And then the other thing is going to be like if we get this elevator project wrapped up, then that'll be something where it's like we've got certain skill sets that are beyond just kitchen and bath. It's like, yeah, we do those. Those are our bread and butter, but we have a capability to do so much more. So,
Okay. Sweet.
And then the last thing was, I don't think I talked about this last time, and if I did, you can just cut me off, but It was in asking for reviews. So a lot of our customers, they've left us 5-star reviews on our Google business page. It's something I'm very proud of. But we had one of our projects that the homeowner absolutely loved us. They referred us to a friend of theirs. Within like the first week, they were talking about giving us a referral, all this stuff. And they told me at the end, they're like, "Hey, we just want to let you know, like, if you've got I didn't even have to ask for it. They're like, if you want us to write you a review, we will. If you ever have a customer that asks for references, please feel free to send them our way." Like, and they were a fantastic customer. Loved working with them. And I was like, absolutely, like, I'm gonna send you the link. And sent them the link for the review, and they left like a 1-sentence review on Google. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, um, just because like I know that they've been telling all their friends, like, we've got a job that we're bidding and it's a 6-figure project for one of their friends because they were raving about how good we did. So it's not that they didn't think we did a good job. I think it was what I walked away from that experience was when I ask for a review, I need to ask for a specific set of things. Can you like so it's hey, can you leave a review about your experience with us? And then for what I'm going to try and do is say specifically as it goes to budget, scheduling, and like the customer experience, or like try and start framing it in that way so that they have 3 things to hit in there so that they've got longer reviews, but it also becomes more it's more relatable to anyone else who would read it so that they can see like it's what are the big pain points. And it's if our job or if our goal is to make it where people aren't experiencing that when they work with us, we want the customers to be telling others that you're not going to be dealing with that, like Saito delivers on what they say. So
100%. Okay, sweet. Anything else on your end?
I think that's it. I was sitting here and I was like, I feel like it was a good month. Like, I think the only other thing is more the beginning of this year has been slow. Like I mentioned, slower than I've wanted to. We've had projects to keep us going. I think we're essentially on pace for the amount of sales we did last year. We've got some more expenses this year than last year, but everything's felt so much easier. And I think a big part of it is like processes. Big part of it was last year was did get crazy at a certain point, and I think we're getting ready to go back to crazy, so it might start feeling hard again. But there's certain like the last 2 projects especially have just there have been a couple things that pop up, but just they get handled so quickly. Everything just seems like it's smooth. So I'm getting very happy with all the work and the the bumps in the road we ran into that created the processes. It's like it's working. So
That must feel awesome. That is really cool to hear.
yeah, other than that, I think like that's May.
Sweet. All right, good summary. I'm gonna hop into kind of the AI stuff. There's been a really interesting flavor this month in terms of we've seen a lot of the infrastructure stuff slowly but surely update over the past few months in terms of we started with MCPs, then we started with skills. Everything is increasing in connectedness. Now Microsoft is starting, Claude's been doing it for a while, but Microsoft is trying to do computer using agents in Copilot Studio. So what this means is you can have AI then navigate old software that might not have connectors that you could use with modern technology. So think about old really janky websites or old really janky software. AI could use a screen just like a person would and would just have to follow whatever a person would do to use that. You're now seeing Claude is rolling out a specific tool just for small business, and it basically comes out of the box with a ton of connectors to things that a lot of small businesses use. So QuickBooks, PayPal, HubSpot, and they even have like pre-made things to try to make it easy for small businesses to tie it all together so that you can open up your Claude for small business. You don't need to set anything up as a entrepreneur or business owner, and then it can talk to QuickBooks, PayPal, HubSpot, any other CRM. You could then do something like manage payroll, handle refunds. It could go after invoices or look at sales campaigns and stuff like that, all just out of the box. So it's really interesting to see what these like new packages look like that they're trying to do things. Google announced a lot too. So they, Thaddeus, I think you're gonna like this, but Google now has a Gmail Live feature, so you can talk to your Gmail and essentially say like, "Hey, there was this one vendor that I worked with back in November. What was the final quote that I got from them?" And it'll use that to actually go find you that information through your emails. So especially, like, I think that's super relevant because we've kind of talked in the past about simplifying your mailbox and stuff like that. And I feel like, especially with all the projects that you have, you could say, "Oh yeah, for this one project, what was the last quote that we gave them? What's the last bid? You know, what's the last thing that we had with Hard Rock or whoever, whatever vendor," like that could be super useful. I'm not saying it's going to be applicable in all cases, but I'm sure there's a few niche cases that would be really, really cool. Something else that's interesting is Google also announced the Spark thing. It's supposed to be like an always on agent. But it's supposed to work across Google Workspace apps. So it's supposed to be able to like take a Jira or a Salesforce ticket and connect it to something else automatically. So you're now seeing a disruption because when all the AI stuff came out, there were a lot of tools that are like, oh, AI automation. You had a lot of YouTube gurus kind of going, and oh, if you really want to be in AI, you've got to learn how to do AI automation for people. But honestly, the more I've gotten into AI and the more I've been helping specific individuals get used to I find that I'm recommending AI for advice and like one-time builds rather than any automation of specific processes, because so many people want like consistent repeatable processes, which I'm like, that's great, but that's not AI. AI is like a fuzzy match every time. So I was talking to another GC, actually the GC who's building my house, and he's like, "Oh, well, like how do I get this using AI?" I'm like, "You don't," because he wants the exact same thing every single time. Like AI is never going to give you that, even if you use the exact same prompt. And so it's really interesting to see how that's kind of changing things.
What was the use case on that one?
So he wants this checklist, right? So he has like this daily checklist. He has an employee that literally drives around to all these different projects that he's going on and takes photos. Goes and talks to certain people, goes and validates certain things, make sure that everything's all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And so like he has this large list and literally like, all right, drive to this address, take these photos of this thing, text it to me immediately. Then he will validate the pictures. And then if something's not clear, hey, take another picture here of this thing, because it covers his butt on a lot of things and he wants to make sure that everything's documented. There's a lot of other stuff that goes on as well, but basically he manually generates this list every time. And so he wanted a consistent way to do that, and he wanted it to look the same and act the same every single time. But every time he was putting it into AI, it got completely different look and feel every time, because no matter how specific you are, it's close enough, but it's not consistent. And so instead, what I did is I had AI build a tool for him that would then take that stuff and spit it out in something that he was expecting. Or I helped point him, I gave him two options. I said, you could do this with AI, or he was already using something called Todoist. And I was like, you can just assign a tag on Todoist. And so I feel like the people who are being really successful right now on AI isn't necessarily that they just know everything about AI, but you know when to say, yes, this is an AI job, and when to say, no, why don't we just learn the tools that you're already using a lot better? Because, sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's like, could I have AI generate like another Google Sheets or another Excel? Absolutely, I can. But the tool already exists, and I'm going to spend a lot more time trying to develop the tool rather than using what's out there. So
we had that conversation 2 weeks ago.
I know he did. So very, very relevant. And I honestly find myself having that conversation more. So it is really interesting. Something else that is cool to see now is so for a long time, anyone who's trying to get discovered on the internet has heard the term SEO, search engine optimization. Now with people asking AI directly, hey, where do I go to get my house remodeled? Where do I go to get this? businesses are now are changing from SEO to AEO. It's called answer engine optimization. Shopify just released a study that said shoppers that were referred by AI convert at nearly 50% higher rates than traditional search. So that is crazy. So I think a couple of things. If you think about like Google search ads back 10 years ago, right? Like it was a lot earlier. There was a lot less competition. It weighed a lot more. When Instagram and Facebook ads first came out, like businesses who could utilize that were really powerful and getting, it was really cheap, it was really easy and like crazy high conversions. I think AI is now this next window. So people who are figuring out how to optimize things for AI are not only getting the just better leads in general, but I mean, we're seeing in the data that the higher conversion rate. I'm noticing this. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I started playing around with that, and I'll say not seriously and not in depth, because I started to realize how much work it was going to be. But I want to say I started playing around with that about 9 months ago. And I was doing it for Grok, and then also was trying to do it with Chat GPT to say like, hey, how do we optimize it? Because obviously, like that's where search was going. The more it seemed to look at it, though, it appeared that if we were to take Gemini already is pulling a lot of their data from their Google listings. And then some of the others, I think they're pulling from Yelp, Reddit, or a combination, and they've got their way of weighing it and stuff like that. So have you seen anything that would say you have these smaller independents that can get more popular on there? Because it seemed, I think when you had the original Google AdSense stuff, or you have the social media as they're coming up, you had a lot of the independents that were early adopters, and so they rode the wave, whereas then institutional money came in later. But it almost seems like the deck is stacked in this case for institutional money, because the context that the LLMs are pulling from, in a lot of cases, is pulling from SEO, and it seems to be a lot of like the same criteria.
So that it's a really good point. For most AI today, when they're searching on the internet, Reddit is weighted much heavier than any other news source or internet source. Almost 45% of search results from AI are influenced by Reddit. So I'm working with an organization right now, $140 million in annual spend. 93% of that has historically been on paid search. Their focus is so much on AEO now that they've hired a full-time person just to manage Reddit. So that tells me that they are influencing and affecting how they run campaigns. And I'm not talking about running ads on Reddit. I'm talking about organic content on Reddit to have people talk about it enough that it gets referred to AI because of how successful it is on Reddit.
So an example might be like, if I were to do that, I would find remodeling or construction messaging and jump in there. It's like, find the horror story ones, find the like what went well, what was creative, what was the cool thing, and try and be like, oh, like love that. Like we're doing, like I mentioned, the Made in the USA. We're doing a Made in the USA type of project over here at Siteability, stuff like that, to drum up stuff.
Yes, Reddit
probably on a larger scale, more institutional scale.
Reddit is so hard because it is such a user site first and it's changed over the years for sure, but it's very different because people sniff out that in like that type of posting doesn't do well on Reddit versus like Facebook and other Instagram. It's more about people like pretending that, or like they're almost shy about their posts, I guess, of like, oh yeah, here's a cool thing, and then, oh yeah, by the way, I'm also this. or someone else posting for you, kind of like a customer feedback of saying, oh my gosh, I worked with Sido and they did this really cool remodel. And then people are like, oh yeah, that is really cool or really unique. Or like your can lights are a really good example of like, oh yeah, we just deployed these new can lights. And stuff like that gets recommended because we're like, oh, AI looks at it and says, oh, well, this is something about can lights that a lot of people are talking to. A lot of people are interacting with this post. So clearly it must be more enjoyable because I think Reddit is the closest like new gen thing because it really doesn't matter how big you are as a person on Reddit. No one cares about that. It's only what your posts, how each individual post is doing.
That makes sense.
So it's very different, and I don't think anyone's like explicitly cracked the code. But I do think there is a little bit of an unfair advantage if you have a good site. It's not completely the Wild West like social or original paid search used to be. But you are seeing a lot of people like smaller creators that are doing really well, and that combined with like virality and TikTok videos and stuff has been really, really sustainable for a lot of people. Sorry,
Water
getting
break
over
for the
sickness.
podcast listeners.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of the main thing. One thing that I've noticed personally. So I just recently got this Fitbit Air, right? It doesn't have a screen. It just recently came out. It's supposed to be a competitor against Whoop and all those kind of things. I like it because I don't need to pay for a subscription. Um, but what's interesting is now that pairs with my Gemini subscription. So now, as soon as I got, and I think this is half Google is just releasing new things, but there's two summaries that I get every morning now. First of all, summary is like an email summary of like, hey, here's all the stuff that came in your email of like possible to dos or stuff you want to talk about. Oh, follow up with this person. Don't forget to do this and stuff like that. Like even stuff of like, oh, hey, there's a utility. You just signed up with this utility company. Make sure that they have this $35 that you can waive if you send that. Don't forget to do that. I'm like, that level of granularity is actually very actionable. And then that paired with like more data, I guess you get the nerd out of like, oh, you slept 6 hours. Maybe take it a little bit slower this morning, or if you go to bed like 30 minutes earlier, you'll typically sleep better. Or hey, here's some interesting stuff that you've seen here, or X, Y, and Z. Like stuff like that, I definitely nerd out on. But it is really interesting to see how they're pairing that. There's even an AI coach now that comes with the Fitbit Air, and it'll tell you stuff like, "Hey, it'll draft workouts for you. It'll help you track your food." Like a lot of stuff that you've historically had to go and pay for a service for. AI can do a lot of that. So I haven't tested it too much, but very interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens on like the medical and insurance side with AI. And I'm not very personally optimistic about it because it seems like those two industries just keep raising prices rather than things getting cheaper.
But in the same time, I've also heard of people like taking medical documents and putting it into AI and getting better answers from in situations where doctors couldn't answer something. And then, AI would find a trend or see an anomaly that other people may have missed, and then that people are able to get healthier because of it. So I
Yep.
think, it's give and take.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, that's all I have on the AI side. I'm very interested to see where things are landing with all this connectedness, but there's a lot. I feel like this is the first month in a while where it feels like tangible things are happening.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, all right. We don't want to hear my thoughts anymore. So, what are the company thoughts?
Company thoughts for tonight are going to be on breaking down things into small details. And this is going to be specifically for training employees, stuff like that. So I'm really big on training for the aptitude, not the attitude. We want to make sure that the guys that we're bringing in they fit the mold of they've got integrity, they're going to be honest, and they understand that the goal is to create a premium customer experience. So a lot of that, though, makes it where anyone who's coming in, almost just like any job, whenever you start, you don't know anything. And so there are times that we can talk to the new guy in terms of, hey, I need you to go get this. Like for me, it's go grab the Sawzall. Well, there's multiple different cutting tools in our daily toolbox. So it's like, which one is it? And it's so for me, it's when trying to take the framework of how do we break things down into the small details and then almost graduate them through it. And we talked about this on a scale of the 0 to 10, but it's just something that came to mind recently again. As I've got my employee Ethan, who's working with me, he's been with me for about a year now, seeing his progress. And we were setting a beam the other day for one of our projects, and it's now we're starting to be able to work more in tandem together rather than it being as much of a like, hey, I'm working, go get this for me, or me having to show before he can do anything. And a lot of that has come down to how do we explain all the details? And for us in the trades, it's not just explaining here's the process of how things happen, but it's here's what it's going to sound like, here's what it's going to feel like. That if you have a saw, if you're cutting a piece of wood, here's what it should sound like, here's what it should feel like. If you start feeling like you're pushing into it and it's giving you resistance, you need to back off of that and then look at, is it pinching, is it doing whatever. And it's so many of those things that will become habit, but it's having to break it down into all those small tiny little actions. And then with that, it's reminding them that, hey, right now it's starting out as it's going to seem like a micromanaging, but really it's a like micro learning across so many different skills. And that if we're not doing that, then it gets really hard to have the same output or make it where you can, like for us, it's be able to work in tandem, and that you can have almost like, all right, one guy's the right hand, one guy's the left hand, and we don't have to really pay attention to what the other is doing, but we know that progress is being made in the same direction.
Nice. Yep. I like how you broke that down.
Any comparison in the data analytics world, or is it just you just plug into a computer, download everything you need to in your brain, and then move on?
No, I mean it's funny that you talk about breaking it down, because I literally did that with an employee today, this evening actually. I was like, we had a project that went haywire in a lot of different ways, and there was a lot of hidden complexity, and basically I just asked him like, hey, what would you do differently knowing about this, and kind of breaking it down. And that was exactly what we talked about, of like, we had been told this is what the requirements were, we built exactly that, and then as we went there was this moving target, and we kept being so focused on certain things that we kind of missed where we were going, and there was a lot of things that we didn't have the right process for. So we said, oh yeah, this is how we're going to handle it, and we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants. And eventually we got the right thing, but we didn't break it down of like, okay, when someone asks something, these are the questions you ask. We didn't break it down like that. And so now we have that of like, all right, from that painful lesson, how do we make sure that future projects we're not doing the same thing where we're just kind of stuck in a like frantic pace with the stakeholder, instead breaking it down and say, okay, well, what does a good report look like to you? All right, what are you expecting it to look like? How are you going to use this? What is what are you going to do with it? All of that kind of stuff. And so we've kind of formalized our processes, and the verbiage that I've started using with my team is like, hey, I want to make sure when we're doing this, it's boring, because like we've done it the same way so many times. It's not surprising. So there's these couple rules that we're building of like, hey, we don't do things this way because it adds complexity. Like an example is, we don't do development the same day we publish something. So if something's going into production, everyone's going to be seeing it. We don't add anything new to that stuff the day we're publishing, because every time we do, something goes wrong, and then people say, "Oh, the numbers are wrong," or "This goes wrong," because you're rushing it because you're trying to get it out the door. So I'm like, great. If something else pops up and you want to add it, that's going on next time. We're not doing it right now. Today is the last day where we make time. We create a space for final checks. We built an actual checklist of things that we go through. Like, this is how you validate this. This is how you didn't know these numbers are right. And then this is how you know everything's good. And then when we did that, lo and behold, when we started publishing, it was a lot less errors. And we had really good releases, and people are like, wow, suddenly the reports, all the updates are getting way better. I'm like, yeah, because we made it boring.
Yeah. I think that ties into another thing, which is almost I almost wonder if it's like learning and unlearning things, and you got to learn play it at different times, where it's understanding the speed and then the double checking stuff. But we'll leave that for another company thoughts night. So,
but like, I think when you're starting any system or process, it's slow at first, but then it's kind of like the muscle memory. I think you can't expect anybody to have muscle memory coming into your company or doing a project for the first time. And so it's almost like you're putting them in the grid and like, all right, this is gonna feel. I feel like I remember the first time I started playing golf. Every time I did what the instructor did, it felt weird and awful and janky. But now it feels like second nature, and my swings are a lot more consistent. So it's like getting them into the right framework so that they can hit the ball right.
Yep. Cool. All right. Where can they find you, Alex?
You can find me at control-analytics.com or on LinkedIn. And you?
And we're at Cytobuilding on Instagram, and then cytobuilding.com for our website.
So until next time.
I hope your hammer stays accurate.
And your Wi-Fi fast.
Your work blessed.
See you, everyone.
See ya.